Hey everyone, and welcome to our live stream, the CNCF Annual Report, Read Along Together. And what we are going to do today is to review I don't want to call it boring, but can be boring to read it alone report and make sure that we make a lot of fun out of it and make sure we share our insights. And we got a lot of stars in this live stream, so I want to introduce the stars to you. First of all, we got Anais, developer advocate from Aqua.
Hello.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm
Excited.
fine. Thank you very much. Me too.
First read along. It's a premiere. Haven't done this before.
Me too, by the way. Me too. But I think it's going to be super exciting. So all of us will read along.
Awesome.
Second, we got Whitney Lee, developer advocate for Tanzu. How are you today?
I'm so wonderful. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much for joining us. And we got also Annie Delvasto from the CMO from Ashin AG. I'm just pronouncing it right.
It's vision, but it's difficult. No one gets it right, so it's totally okay. And actually, yeah, and I'm super excited to be here. And I don't think the report is boring, by the way. At least every previous year before this has been like kind of exciting, but maybe I'm a bit of a nerd about these topics. But yeah, super excited for this.
Yeah, me too. I don't want to say it's boring. Maybe it was too extreme, but I have to say that reading it alone at home and sharing my insight and think about it was kind of, I'm alone and I want to share that with maybe some other members and see what they think about it. Maybe I read it wrong. Maybe there's some correlation between things happened last year, and that's what brings us together. So thank you for joining us. And what we're going to do today is basically for everyone watching. First of all, if you would like to comment for us, ask questions, do that in the chat. You can do that from the LinkedIn comments of the live event itself or from the YouTube comment, and we will be able to see that. Thank you, Jory. Thank you for joining. And we'll be able to show the comments in here. And we would love to hear what you think about the report. We would love to hear your thoughts, your questions, and we would have a lot of time to answer those. So what do you think? Let's start?
Sounds perfect.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Cool. I just need to find my mouse over here. Share screen.
It's good background music.
I'm getting us hyped up. Can't wait for those stats. Awesome.
Cool. Okay. So can you see my screen, right?
Yes.
I can't see you, which is kind of interesting. Cool. Okay. Let's start. What a year to remember. We got a lot of projects, a lot of members, and a lot of contributors. What do you think about it?
Can you make it bigger?
Oh, sure.
Just to make sure everybody
Is that enough?
Oh, it's cropping out a bit, I think. But it's good.
Oh, got it. Let me fix that.
Does anyone know how many projects there were last year? How do you like?
Yeah, it's good to have a comparison. I mean, is it the whole project or the projects in addition?
So I think there's a stat, usually at least there's been before, later on, like the project growth, maybe at least previous years there's been. But I like the number grows every year so much, which is super amazing to see. I remember like a few years ago when I started speaking about CNCF topics, then like all together there was like, 10 projects or something, and so it's really great for it to be growing constantly.
Yeah.
Oh. Wow, only Kubernetes and then on the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did my first Helm demo when it was like Helm was just getting started, and I asked the audience even like, does anyone know Helm? And like one hand went up out of 50 people. So
wow, that's so cool.
It was a few years ago, yeah.
So you were the first one knows what Helm is.
In that particular event, yes.
Amazing. I think something that is really interesting is that the tag environmental sustainability, and by the way, we haven't posted it yet, but it's a really great tag, and we are going to have next week live stream about environmental sustainability. So it's we haven't planned it, but it's promotion for next week live stream with Max.
Nice. Always an important topic.
Yeah. Who's taking the cube train? Speaking of sustainability.
I was
I'm
supposed
taking the
to.
train back from Paris, but I'm not part of the cube train.
Can you explain a little bit about what is it for people that
Yeah.
don't know?
The cube train. So, a lot of people in Europe are going to Paris, and so cube train, like, as leaving from several cities, have rented out a train or have made a plan for a bunch of Kubernetes. Anyone who's going to KubeCon to all travel at the same time to go to the conference together. So I'll happen to be in Europe, so I'm going to take the London cube train to get to Paris. Yeah.
Wow.
Nice. I was supposed to, and I have a ticket. But now I have to be in US before it, and unfortunately, there's no train from US, so I have to fly in. But I'll be taking a train back as well. So, and I'll be at the Cube Train party. There's a Cube Train party.
There's
so.
a cube train party. The cube train itself will feel like a party, I think. And then when you arrive, everyone who's arrived on a cube train gets together for a cube train party. I think a conga line will need to happen at the party too.
Definitely.
Wow, I have to be at a party. We need to find out where the party exactly is, and we are going to crash the party because we are arriving by airplane. So
No one can really tell by looking at you. So you could be like, oh, what a view. It was a blur. It went by so fast. Like,
wow, that's impressive, the cube train.
yes, it's cool. It's a super cool initiative.
Cool, let's move on. What do you think? I stopped a little bit on the photos. I saw photos of earrings. Yeah, this one.
Yeah. Those are
I think-
3D printed, I believe. Yeah. That's
I think Anais, you got those. No.
I have the second version, I think. But this one is actually not from the same person as where I got mine from.
Oh,
that's Caitlin Fields wearing them. Yeah. Another
I think she made them herself. Yeah.
cool.
cool. Let's see some data. I know we have a lot of
Exciting.
specs. Oh, here are not project but contributors growth. You can see it's just linear but spiking.
Cool. What are the 3 lines in the member, end user, and project growth? Oh, there we go. Members are growing. End users, went down a little.
Yeah. Interesting.
And projects went up. Yeah.
Members are the member companies.
Yeah. Members of the foundation.
Need
It's
to get the
interesting.
end users
And-
up, no?
And how's that different from end users?
So end users are the ones who are not vendors selling CNCF or Kubernetes, tech. And then the end users are the ones who are simply using the
Got it.
project. So that's why it's kind of. I guess you
So-
can be a member and an end user at the same time. Then
If you're an end user and you're using a managed version of something provided by a member, like you're using Crossplane provided by Upbound, are you an end user at that point, or since you're using a managed version? Okay, so if you have open source anywhere in your stack, you're an end user,
No, I
regardless
think
of
you
whether
need-
it's managed.
I think so.
no, well, I guess in a colloquial term, you would be an end user, but I think the end user term is meant for companies who are not selling anything on top of Kubernetes.
Okay.
So
You
you
can-
can be in that case, you can be using Upbound, but the managed version, not the open source version. And I think you can still call yourself an end user in that case. Because I mean,
Awesome.
even if you do maybe, I don't know, food delivery or something.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah,
point
yeah.
is that you're not selling then something in the cloud native space, right? At least that's how I understood it. Maybe that's
I
wrong.
feel like an overwhelming urge to Google this definition right now. Exact answer. I'm trying not to.
Maybe we just need someone in the audience to fact check everything all of our conjectures, because this might be a trend. Here's why do you think the end users went down a little? Do you think there's a reason for that?
It seems very low just for people using the technology. I think you need to register or something like that. So I think that you also need to do something to be an end user or to influence something. I'm not sure about it. But
Somebody in the audience has an idea. What is an end user?
yeah,
Help us.
If you're not making money from anything cloud native related, if you're not providing any cloud native services or infrastructure, then you're an end
Uh-huh.
user now. Like, but you're
Yeah.
using any of the technology. That was my, I don't know. I don't know where I have this definition from. It's just, sometimes you have definitions in your head. You don't know how, but that's what you
Yeah.
think it is. And you have no idea where it came from and who told you.
I will take the action item. I will find out what is end users. I will let you know.
It could have gone down just because big companies swallow up little companies.
Yeah.
Smaller.
Let's
Maybe
talk
they're
about the contributor growth here.
Yeah.
Because I think it's really interesting that they are still going up by that rate, even though the end users are not. Because I would assume if end users go up, then we have more people from those end user companies contributing, right? But they don't go up. So are those individuals just who are just interested in the technology and decide, hey, let's contribute, even though their companies are not contributing or part of anything?
I guess it can be member companies who are contributing a lot as well. So then
Yeah.
it can be, the people who are building the products doing it. And actually, you can see the project's growth there. So I guess it was quite like it's been getting quite like accelerating in growth from 2019 to 2020 and 21. But before that, it was relatively like flat, I guess, well, not flat, but.
And also, as new projects are added to the CNCF, those projects bring contributors with them. So it would be a reason for it to grow too.
Yeah, and actually the interesting part about, I guess, the contributor growth number is that it doesn't really take into account how many contributions per contributor are
just like
done.
one
Yeah.
typo fix and you're
And
a
how
contributor.
many. Yeah, exactly. Like if, everyone makes just one, contribution, that's obviously great, but is it, is it that, or is it multiple people doing more, some people less, it's
I
interesting.
will find out a very side project and I will just commit README things to it.
Which, I mean, there's no shame in that. That's a great, contributing in any form is great. Yeah. But you will make the number go up. But you only need to do one to make the number go up. Yeah.
I think one time I find some change in like something problematic within the Kubernetes documentation, and it was really easy because and I fixed it. And what was easy is that people always think about contribution as I need to push code, but sometimes all the things like documentation, maybe add a tutorial or blog really contribute to that project even more than the hours you're going to spend to fix even one line of code.
I so agree. Like having gone through so much documentation for a lot of like relatively small open source projects, just if you have clarity and really good language and grammar, it helps so much for onboarding new people into using the project. So just doing grammar and like typo checks, I think that's already valuable. So everyone can start contributing on that way, even if they feel scared about the other things.
Looks like we have an answer in the chat. Pavel is helping us out.
To qualify as an end user, I guess you do not have primary business selling cloud native software, or maybe just software. But to be a CNCF end user, you need to pay a little contribution to support fee. So you need to pay an extra there. So there's
Okay, interesting.
I wonder what you get in exchange for that.
To be an end user in exchange for paying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting. No, thought about it.
Why do you want that? Yeah, why do you want the end user title?
Members is clear, right? The members who get the marketing.
But I think it could be that you probably get resources, support, certification, likely, help or whatnot. Likely, I would imagine that it would be similar to the perks that as a member you get. Okay, someone says member, you pay more. So I guess that's the difference maybe then. Like you get maybe the same perks, but you just have to pay less.
And Aditya says that they think more companies are migrating from Kubernetes, and that's why the number's going down. Like at first, every small scale application migrated to Kubernetes, but later the cost, they weren't feeling the benefit from the cost, is what Aditya thinks.
That's possible as well.
I will try to Pavel share the comment. Let me try to see if I can show the end user section. Oh,
there you go.
There you go. Vendor neutral community of cloud native practitioners.
Oh, if you want to say that, show the Pavel's comment, then it's not. It's the other one. But I want to actually thank you, Pavel, already for commenting and providing us with the definition. Really good and helpful for us.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. I'm back
Cool.
here.
Let's move on.
Hey. Hi.
Yeah.
Membership.
Cool. Membership. So this is the membership supported by organization, 110 new members and some gold members. So it looks like not end users, maybe someone that is in between. I'm not sure exactly what it means.
I guess the members are the ones who are members of the foundation, and the end users are the ones who pay a bit less, but are the end users, so they're not selling on top of it, maybe. So I guess. But great to see so much new member growth still. I think it's always kind of easy to look at the graphs and like think like, oh, it's going down a tiny bit or something. But then if you take into account, for example, the economic situation in the world or something, there could be a lot of like internal factors where organizations might be choosing their memberships or end user status very carefully and so forth. So great to see that there's still new members popping in and even a platinum member.
Yeah. And I wonder if KubeCon China helped influence the 10 new members from China. That's pretty cool to see results from that.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Also, the effect that KubeCon in India has, right?
Yeah.
To get more companies from Asia involved.
Very true.
Cool. Do you want to move next?
Yeah.
I feel like we have enough understanding about the members and end user community.
And also, I have no sense of how long this is, so I have to trust you, God, about the pace
It's very
where
long.
to move.
It's very long.
Okay, then I think we might be going pretty slowly.
I think we are in the 10th% of this.
Okay.
Oh, there's actually, I was actually, I guess it's about zero to merge. So this was a really cool project.
I agree. I think
to
this
design.
is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And really feeding into the like encouraging contributions that we were talking about there earlier. So that's amazing. And I haven't even seen like the final numbers. So kind of a good amount of participants and registrations. Always super great to see.
Yeah, I think it would.
We should say what zero to merge is. What is zero to merge,
exactly.
Annie?
It's a 4-week course designed to transform end users into effective contributors to CNCF project. I'm cheating a bit.
That's what read along means.
Yeah. So I didn't know it was pointed at end users. I thought anyone could sign up who wanted to learn how to become a contributor, who didn't have any experience contributing to anything and maybe felt intimidated by the whole process. Could have your hand held through how to be a good citizen, how you're supposed to interact with people, how do you comment.
Can I sidetrack, or are we supposed to only talk about this?
Always.
Because it's just reminded me of there was this situation that I thought was really interesting. It was posted on Twitter that basically there's this course in Hindi, I don't know, posted about how do you make your first open source contribution, right? And the instructor basically showed the students, here's how you open a pull request, here's how you make changes, for example, to typos. And the students, being so new to the space, they thought that this is what they have to do. They have to, they interpret it literally, right? In that they would have to go and create these kind of, simple fixes of let's add a new line here, or let's make a new paragraph, or things like that. And that obviously created these hundreds of pull requests in, I think it was a JavaScript related library. And and then the maintainers obviously had to go through each single pull request, look at it, make sense out of it, and decide, do they merge it, do they close it, right? And that takes a lot of times from the maintainers to just look through everything. So sometimes what we want to show people is not how they perceive it, how they will understand it, right? And I thought it was just such a brilliant example. So a program like this that really shows people like, here's what is a valuable contribution, how you can actually help maintainers versus giving them more work.
Yeah.
That's a really direct and rude way. Is really valuable.
And actually a good way to first start committing is to review pull requests. So then you can shadow someone and learn how to do it. And
I
then
think
you learn. Yeah.
I think it's really useful for some companies that do want to add some specific enhancement, maybe for themselves, and then they can send, 2 or 3 people to this Zero to Merge course, and then they can find out and actually solve that and add this PR. So they're getting a little bit more involved within the community, but also get the benefit into their own company and own team.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like the next cohort's set to kick off soon.
I was just about to say the
So
same.
Yeah, apply if you're interested.
Exactly.
It
And
sounds
it has a
interesting.
really cool badge logo as well, I have to say. I'm always admiring. It's so cool, the black and white. I love it.
Yeah, not always. Like it's much different from the blue ones. Maybe I will register. I know it sounds interesting. Maybe to contribute to some project. I don't know. It sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, end user activity.
Ooh, Backstage is really leading the pack.
Oh, by a lot.
Yeah.
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 I guess it's maybe because Spotify are end users, and that really changed the numbers that we see in here, because they're not really a vendor, so they're kind of end users, and they contribute to their own project.
True, that's probably skewing it a bit. And also, I do think Backstage is they have such a good momentum right now as well. Like it's very talked about, it's relatively-ish new and so forth. So I do think because if you're still kind of not in the beginning or early phases necessarily, but like if you have more room to grow, there's probably more space and need for contributions as well. So it makes also sense if they're kind of kicking off a lot.
I will scroll down a little bit. I think that one makes more sense.
Oh, see, there you go. Spotify is one of the highest contributing companies. Therefore, Backstage is one of the highest contributed to projects.
It actually matches up almost exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost like 10x from Bloomberg, which is the next one.
Mm-hmm.
But it's amazing. For example, Prometheus, it's kind of a lot too. Right? Like some people really care about Prometheus and Argo Studio in order to contribute.
Yeah, I would have, if you would have like, before you put this up, made me guess at what projects would be at the top, I would get like Backstage, Argo, Kubernetes, I would get Prometheus maybe, and Telepresence. I would have no idea. I would never guess Telepresence. Like I didn't know it was a popular one. So Telepresence is a developer tool to help developers be able to route your stuff that's going to your Kubernetes cluster into your local machine for development. So you can use all your development tools on it. Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed Telepresence. So that's cool to see.
I am very surprised about build packs. I know recently I have a chance to a little bit play with the tool, and it was extremely hard. Not because
really?
It's kind of easy to build your containers, but I have Mac PC and there is some things over there. And I know a lot of people using some source to image. You'll use build packs like behind the scenes. So they use some other components that use build packs behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And that really makes it really great to use. But I wouldn't guess that end user actually contribute to that to make it work seamlessly. I will give a little bit about what is build pack. So as I said, it's a source to image tool. So you just have your application in a directory. You run build backs against this directory, and it finds out which application you use, what are the dependencies, and actually build an image without Docker files. So you can just run it against your directory, get an image, make it run. And that's really useful for SaaS company or places when the platform actually packs the code. So developers and DevOps don't really care about the code, the Docker image. They just care about the code. They code it and it pack it like on a single
from
command
a security perspective.
Well, as an organization, you can program your organization best practices into the build pack builder that your org uses. Yeah.
Okay, okay, we don't have a
So-
Dr. Okay.
so it's there. It's just abstracted away from developers and sort of, yeah.
But I think there's a pattern here in like the kind of tools that getting lots of contributions. They're not necessarily, they don't have to necessarily be used in a cloud native environment, right? Like Backstage doesn't necessarily have to be, I mean, with containers, right? But you don't really have to use Kubernetes to make the best out of Backstage. Similar with Open Feature, you don't have to, like, to use Open Feature, I think you don't have to use Kubernetes. You don't have to install on Kubernetes either. So there's kind of a pattern of projects, I think.
Will you describe Open Feature? I'm actually familiar with that
Oh,
one.
I'm not. So I was just involved at the very beginning, and it's basically, I could be completely wrong. So basically, the idea is that when you roll out a new deployment, you might only want to roll out part of that update, that feature that you've set up, or to a subsection of your users. So with Open Feature, you can dynamically configure who's supposed to receive that update. So which part of your application stack of your workloads is supposed to receive that update, who of your customers is supposed to receive it. So it's basically turning on and off different feature flags across your application stack, and then dynamically rolling out that update. And you can do that with Kubernetes operator, but you can also install it in your infrastructure. So that's kind of where it came from, where I thought it was interesting. Also, Open Feature is a very new, I think it's still sandbox, or maybe it's just incubation. So it's very new in comparison to, for example, Prometheus, right? So there's this also this strong contrast.
Cool. Thank you.
It's
it's great feature because it's a great understanding of Open Feature, because some people, a lot of companies have their own feature flag system they build for their own, and that really makes some standard out of it, or they are paying for one of the vendors for feature flag management.
And as a person who lives in Zurich, Switzerland, I'm very happy to see Swiss Post there. That's very lovely.
On the bottom right.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's move on. End user awards. I guess those are the main end user contributors: Mercedes-Benz and Spotify. And Intuit. It's kind of interesting because both Spotify and Intuit like manage and contribute to main projects like Argo and Backstage, but Mercedes-Benz are not, if I remember correctly, they have not like contributed a full project to the CNCF.
They have really good KubeCon keynotes. I enjoy. I think they've had a few, or like either in panels or whatnot.
I saw an Ace little move there.
I'm not gonna say it out loud.
That's okay. Okay. Events. I'm moving a little bit fast to just see the data and less the text.
I do think it's so amazing to be a part of a global community. I think it's the coolest freaking thing. And maybe it's because I'm like a Gen X or whatever, and I sent snail mail to my pen pals when I was young. But the fact that we're like here right now having a conversation across many countries across the globe, and we have people in the chat from other parts of the globe, I just think it's the freaking coolest thing. I love that I can go to any city and I have friends in that city probably. I think I love how welcoming the community is, and it's cool.
I agree. And I really actually, that's because it's about, I guess, these stats about the KCD program. That's super great to see, because I think it kicked off so fast.
Yeah.
Like there was it was introduced as a concept, and suddenly KCDs everywhere, which was amazing.
Yeah.
I guess 32 in the year, 24 countries. Over 10,000 attendees across all of them. That's really cool, honestly. And I think it's very much like a, from zero to hero program. 43% year-over-year increase. So,
and I love that it's in multiple languages, since KubeCons are pretty much always in English, or at least English accessible. I think it's super cool to have native language conferences too.
Exactly. And I've done or like visited a couple of KCDs. And they're so lovely because it's such a like a warm and local atmosphere in all of them.
Yeah.
I love them. They're actually kind of my favorite events to speak at because they are so like localized and such community driven activities. So it feels so warm and welcoming every time.
I'm going to my first one this weekend. I'm going to Guadalajara to speak at KCD
Ooh,
It's
Mexico.
Wow.
exciting.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Thank
cool.
you. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to this.
It's like the Kubernetes DevOps days in
Okay.
that direction of like if I would say if you think of community size and promoting also local speakers and getting involved in the local community and all of that. Yeah.
I
Amazing.
think this is what really amazed me. Like, Annie, we met at KCD Munich, and KCD
Yeah.
Munich was a great event. Like, it besides the fact that it was my first time at Munich, you meet the people there, and Whitney, as you said, like you come there and you meet a lot of people and you make friends. Like next time in Munich will be a lot of fun, and that's amazing. That anywhere you go in the world, you can find some friends, you can have some fun. And I think the KCDs, like when you meet with local people, because there are not many people that coming from other countries to KCDs, and you meet the local community, it really sparks my, I don't know, imagination or my passion toward traveling and seeing local communities all over the world.
Awesome.
I so agree. And you had a really cool Kubernetes shield, I think, in KCD Munich as well. So that was really nice.
You traveled with that?
Yeah, Udi is here with us on the backstage. We traveled with the shield and we took photos of everyone who wanted and videos. I don't know, Udi, are we bringing the shield to KubeCon to Paris? I know.
Do you have
you
the
have
shield
it?
nearby?
Yeah,
What
but
is the
it's
shield?
It's a massive metal shield. So I'm just imagining who they got
On a plane.
with the shield.
So it's like a Captain America shield, but with Kubernetes at the
Ah.
center, and it's just blue and silver. It's amazing. It looks like Genie from the movie. I tried to
Very
find an
impressive.
image.
Yeah.
I tried to find an image of it, but it's so amazing, and people cannot like not take picture with it because it's so big and so heavy. I tried to see if we have them.
It does look impressive, honestly. Like it was like shining in the light in Munich, and it was just like a really nice looking one.
I tried to find out the picture while I'm moving to the next thing. Oh, Cube Days, by the way. Have you had a chance to go to one of the Cube Days?
Yep,
What's
I
the
was
difference?
speaking in Tokyo Cube Day, the first one.
So Cube
Oh,
Day
yeah.
is similar to KCD, except KCD is CNCF sponsored and Cube Day is not. Is that
So
what's?
Cube Day is organized by CNCF itself, so it's like a mini KubeCon. It
Oh,
depends
okay.
on, I guess. Well, it's one day event, but at least the one that I did in Japan, it was also like kind of together with a couple other events and maybe like workshops or whatnot. But it's one day event. It's organized by CNCF, so not community organized, but obviously everything CNCF is very community driven in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
really nice event. At least the one in, I guess it's that one, the Cube Day Japan in Yokohama, there where I was at. So a really nice event in general. I really loved it.
Cool.
Yeah, we also had a local one in here in Tel Aviv. It was amazing. Oh, Katie answered.
And Arsh Sharma's here. Hi, Arsh.
Yeah, and Katie answered what the difference between KCD and Cube Days. KCDs are community hosted, CNCF supported.
Ah.
But not hosted by the CNCF directly.
By the way, Arsh was in KCD Tel Aviv as well. He had a speaking session there. Let me see.
Oh, you had already one in Israel.
Yeah, so the second one. So Annie was on the first one in Japan, and we had the second one in Tel Aviv.
Okay.
Cool. Cloud Native Security Con, which is kind of it's an event. It's a one-day event specifically for security, right?
Yeah, it was actually the first time Cloud Native Security Con. The first time that was a separate event instead of a colo during KubeCon. So what they do also this year, it's gonna be a separate Oh, it's in 3 different countries. Yeah, it's the next one is gonna be in June in Seattle, I think.
In Seattle, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
And
not
actually-
in 3 companies, just those 3 companies were the top ones represented.
Yeah, so people like
Oh,
attendees are.
countries. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I was just confused because I didn't know about them. I think they also have one in Europe this year, or they had one. Yeah, but it's cool to have the security space grow to that extent, right? To have its own conference. I quickly have to go and let my puppy out, so I will be back.
Oh, you can take us with you to do a quick round. Cool. I think the next one is a really interesting because this is the biggest event that we have.
Yeah, and I can actually say, I just saw the number for like women attendees for our security one. That's actually, I think it's higher than for KubeCons on average. So that's really cool to see, and particularly with security being so important, in my opinion. It's nice to see that there's more diversity than there. That's cool.
How much do you think it's going to be on KubeCon? It's the data right after.
10%. Didn't we see it 10% earlier?
Isn't it even? Is it like
I thought it was
4?
20. Oh, but across the KCD's 20%. No, that's what it said earlier.
Yeah,
And
that's
also, are we
speakers.
talking attendees or speakers? Yeah, that's 2 different.
Oh,
2 different
Yeah,
things.
I think is it 4 or something? So okay, I haven't read this report, but I've read the annual report like 4 or 3 years ago already in a row. So maybe I don't know. Okay, I might be wrong. Now I'm like feeling a little bit wrong. Let's scroll
what did
down
he say?
fast.
Yeah.
Let's roll down. If you have any gamble, you can put it on the comments, by the way, for the audience. But let's see what we have in KubeCon.
Come on.
6%.
Oh. I guess that matches how I feel when I'm there. When I took a picture, it was a couple KubeCons ago. I was sitting in one of the front rows at the keynote, and I turned around and looked at just the sea of male faces. And it's like I stared for a while, like I'm looking at easily 70 people, and I don't see a female presenting person in the bunch.
True. And also, actually, the most important, interesting part in here for me is the 52% prefer not to answer at all. So actually, it's only about 50 where we get the data from. But we can usually, I guess, in statistics, okay, I'm not like a statistics professional fully, but I guess we can make the educated guess that it would be likely the same distribution for the rest 50%. But, still.
It's interesting that half of the audience are first timers.
Yeah, it means a lot. What is your guess why it's first timers?
I think it's super cool because that means that there's new people coming in, which I think it's one of the best parts about the community, so that it's not just, just people who've been there from the beginning or, just kind of new, fresh ideas, fresh people. That's really always great. But I'm hoping that it's not because the old people would be leaving actively, so that it would be kind of like a nice mix. And I guess with the KubeCon, I think there was some numbers, or usually like the KubeCon does keep growing every year. So maybe it's because the event keeps growing and more people get involved, and that's why we have first timers as well. So that's probably
it can be just geography based. Like, okay, now we have people in that city or nearby who are considering going who wouldn't have if it's across the country or the world.
So this is the data only for the EU one, which was in Amsterdam, and right after we got the US one. How much do you think first timers we got there? That would be interesting.
Fewer.
Fewer?
That there were few. Yeah, that there were more in Amsterdam first timers. That would be my guess. But I don't.
So
let's see.
You are. But it's almost the same number. Like 50. The previous one was 51, and that 54. It's kind of almost the same. So it's a really big community that's growing. Really, a lot of people are coming in. It can be because of locality, but also the distribution of Kubernetes and CNCF like project users, which kind of we see the trend. Like we saw the spike on contribution, we saw the spike of end user, which I guess there are many more end users, but they are not official end users which are actually using it, and they want to come to the event. It's super
Let's
fun
talk-
event.
Let's talk about the ratio of speakers to CFP submissions. That I've heard the statistic that like of the people who apply to speak, about 8% usually get to actually speak. And then I wonder too about how ChatGPT affects the number of submissions, because I feel like it probably makes for a lot more submissions.
Actually, I think the number has been quite the same.
Yeah.
Ish. Well, so I've been in the program committee a few times, and at least for my tracks, then like the number of submissions hasn't changed too much. But I do have to say that the submissions have changed a lot for sure.
The submissions themselves.
Well, because you can see that people use ChatGPT, which I think obviously, if so this, yeah, so if you know if you use it wisely to kind of go back and forth and kind of improving on your idea and so forth, I think that makes perfect sense. But then you see sometimes people who might have used it like just copy paste the first thing that comes out of it. The results are usually not as good as if you work a bit longer on your CFP. So you can see those.
So the tip is not to use ChatGPT at all.
Well, I think it makes sense to use it to improve upon, like grammar check and whatnot. There's a lot of uses for it, but because I think if you use it just straight up, it always gives all the talks in the same format, so that when you're going through them as a program committee member, you can start seeing, okay, it's the same thing, the same format, like gazillion times in a row. So
all the first sentence are the same, like the one that should start.
some of them, yeah.
So one of the criteria is that the talk is new, right? That it has originality. And I think if you just ask ChatGPT for very similar topics, it will provide you with similar content.
Yeah.
So it might not be the best idea to score in that category.
It's I don't know. I don't use ChatGPT to write CFPs, but it's kind of give me ideas. Like you can circle with it and get ideas, understand, sharpen your ideas with it. I think for me it's useful on a daily basis to whatever I do. Even I code with ChatGPT. That's the most amazing thing. Like you put a function, you say what you want it to do, and that you get back the Python function in a better way.
Yeah, I fully agree. I love it for grammar and like clarity check, because sometimes you might have like, some weird sentence structure in the middle of your thing, and then it can kind of pick up on that. So
Cool. Do you want to move next?
Yeah.
What we have in there? Transparency report. It's a different report.
yeah.
Let's not get into it.
That's another show.
Yeah. Training and certifications.
So that's a huge amount of growth from 2024 to 2023. Well, it's
So
double, I
really,
guess.
And they're offering more training programs too. So I wonder if it's related to if more people are doing certain programs, or if it's just there are more programs and people are completionists.
I guess there's 5 new certifications. So going up from, what is that, 5? So it's double the amount. So that's probably already.
Is
the
it
year
only
of cert-
Kubernetes certifications? I don't think so.
There's a Falco one got released. Like I think there are some
Yeah.
around the graduated projects.
I think is there an Istio one? And then
Yeah.
That feels right.
I can
Yeah.
scroll a little bit because it's just below where we are.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Okay.
But I do like that. Like pursuing training certificates can help get you a new job, can help you get a raise at your job. It feels beneficial, and it's nice to have these tangible goals for getting trained up in these complex areas.
I agree, and we see the trend. Like I know 2 years ago I couldn't hear about a lot of people like doing the certificate, and now it's kind of rising in courses, but also actually to do those and get them.
So there's a Prometheus one on there. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other one are Kubernetes. I know it's a little bit hard to see those. Kubernetes like CK, maybe that's the old one, the CKA, CKAD, and CKSS, which is the security one.
I guess there's 10 altogether.
Yeah. But what was interesting for me is to see. Let me scroll down a little bit, but the product satisfaction, and then I will scroll down, and then we'll scroll up, like the one that moved into graduation. And you mentioned Istio, and I know that Istio had new certificates in the CNCF.
Yeah, and I think the numbers for that's growth was a bit up there as well. Like it was in a
Yeah,
different
let me
row than the
scroll
others.
up a little bit. Sorry for moving you around.
No worries, no worries. So you go
Yeah.
a bit more up than the Istio was there.
Okay.
But we don't need to focus on.
What's the stat here where you can show the header?
So yeah,
Project
Project
updates and satisfaction.
CNCF underscore commitments to
So-
making cloud native requests.
Ah,
Those are the
okay.
numbers
So
of
just like the
project.
number. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow, it's amazing. Like 2023 starts in year approximately. And we can see the rise, especially on sandbox and graduated projects.
I think it's really cool, particularly for Sandbox, because it's meant to be, the experimental like sandbox where like new projects can get added in without like too much of like hurdles and so forth. So it's really great because I think that's one of the really, really good ways to foster a community and get more projects in to see then what kind of blossoms into becoming even more long term. But really great to see like the kind of grassroots activity there as well. And I'm very happy that my guesstimation of how many projects was when I was around 2017 getting started was quite correct. So yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
I think the next one, like we have like you talked about how many projects are getting like more and more involved in how contribution they have. And something that we have in here is the graduation, but more than that, we have the project velocity. And I think this is one of the most interesting chart we have. For each one, we got the bubble of the project. So we'll try to show all of them, but for example, Kubernetes is on the right top side.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one is OpenTelemetry, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can see all the others running in the linear line in here.
What's the lower axis? We see
Yes, please.
PRs and issues, and then there was yeah.
So this is the logarithmic commits, so that it's a logarithmic scale, and those also logarithmic scale, both of them. It's kind of hard because the legend is on the top and the chart is at the bottom. So in order to find out which project is it, we need to go over there. But OpenTelemetry, it's kind of big. Like we see the trend in observability and how people actually adopting OpenTelemetry. I wasn't like it. Kind of fascinating to see how many authors we got to the contributions, but on the other side, we see the trend of usage of OpenTelemetry all across the board, from the observability companies, from people using Prometheus and moving to OpenTelemetry collectors and aggregators, and that's kind of great. It's exciting. I thought it will be in the middle, not on the top, especially not the second one.
Yeah, I agree. And it's actually very interesting. Like you can see Kada with 193 authors, quite like low on the pack in a way, but Kubeflow, which is like Kada is graduated and Kubeflow is incubating, but Kubeflow has even a bit more, let alone like when you go to, to the other ones in even more extremes. It's interesting actually to see the differences there. But this is actually always my favorite part about the annual report. It's the project data and seeing like which are the trends in like which tech is and which projects are attracting the most kind of use as well as contributors, which is so interesting.
I agree. And I think that more than that, like I thought Prometheus will be maybe third one, Argo will be the second one. I think we should have collect I know what each one thinks before we show this data.
But Prometheus earlier, it was what was the stats earlier? Where Prometheus was high up? Was it number of contributors?
It was end user contributions, I believe.
End user contributions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's kind of aligned with this number. I remember it was 500-ish number, but with contributions and not authors.
I wonder how that's measured. But then you can you could correlate of like how many authors, how many one-time authors you have versus consistent authors, right? Like what is better to have a project with lots and lots of one-time contributions or with fewer contributors but who are consistently contributing more? Also earlier there's archived the lists, the graph, there's archived projects. That will be interesting in the future to see which kind of projects, what get them to be archived, right? Like just people didn't care about them anymore. What happened?
Yeah. maybe it's not
Maybe it's like Google's that project. There's a Twitter account that's just posting about that Google project. Will we have that for CNCF project?
Yeah. Also, we also got this question from Space Cadet. What do you think about Streamsy? And Streamsy actually was graduated in 2024. This is why it's not listed above, but interesting. I cannot find it in here, by the way.
Streamsy.
This is Streamsy.
Streamsy is Kafka, like somehow helps it integrate Kafka and Kubernetes, but that's really all I know about it.
It's basically a Kafka operator. You can basically deploy CRDs saying, I want Kafka cluster, I want this topic, and it actually spin up them in the cluster. It's kind of an interesting project, especially when it's combined with Keda, for example. And then you can deploy your application with Streamsy and Keda together. And then you get your application with auto-scaling and Kafka streams all over the place, just with a single CRD or 2 CRDs.
It sounds really cool.
It's an amazing project. Like I learned about it only after graduation, but it's fascinating. Okay, we have a lot. Like we are kind of a little bit after the half. I don't think we will review all the report because we want to end soon. I will go and show you some of the information about. We had a security part, which is kind of interesting. Because I don't know if people are aware that actually in the CNCF they're running like security tests and security audits for the project, and then you guarantee that you get well secured projects. I don't have a lot of CVEs out there, but it's kind of fascinating to see the impact of security audits on the project themselves. And they also have reports about the security review and how many of those they fixed.
Is the security review, you're talking about finding vulnerabilities, but are there other aspects that they're looking at too as part of the review, or is it basically vulnerability based?
The tech security, they have like a checklist of sorts.
Okay.
They have different lists that they go through and they see, does this project do X, Y, Z? Like, do they have a security scanner, for example, in their pipelines? Yes or no kind of style. And then like, what do they do? So it's some of the information is, I guess, more... It's less binary, right? It's not like here's the number of CVEs of critical vulnerabilities you have, but more, do you do something to not have critical, or like to identify critical vulnerabilities, because any project will have at some point. So it's so they have these review documents that they use to provide these.
Cool.
For the fun part of VPN Friends.
Ubi. Cilium B.
I wasn't aware there are like new members for the VPN Friends group. But I like this Dumbo and B. I know.
That's super cool. What's the elephant wearing? What are they each wearing? I guess the Cilium B has a Cilium on it.
Oh, and like a...
There's something on the pocket.
Screwdriver.
Yeah, Phillips head screwdriver.
Yeah. Very Doctor Who-y.
Because of the hexagon, maybe? Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, it's fine. And then what's our elephant wearing?
And the elephant. I know, it's like
maybe a backpack. Maybe it's on a hike.
Yeah.
It looks kind of like a hiking backpack.
You know, I was thinking about a parachute for some reason.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
Parachute.
I thought about these life jackets
Yeah, life
That-
jacket.
because elephant cannot float, I guess, or
Or does the Tough branding has a parachute, right? Isn't that what the Tough logo has?
Yeah.
So maybe that's a parachute for our elephant.
wow, that's a good call.
That's cool.
Love the hair.
And I love the new Phoebe book as well. It's always nice to see.
Yeah.
We don't see
Cool.
the image of the Phoebe book yet, but
Awesome.
I see the text as a spoiler already.
Oh, here's the Phoebe book. Phoebe's Field Guide to Awesome. Have you read
Nice.
it?
I've been meaning to check it out, but I read the previous editions, so
Wow, that's interesting. I know. I like Phoebe and Friends. We have I have them over here. I think I have Phoebe.
Look, I have a Phoebe
Phoebe as
too.
well.
Okay.
So all of us got Phoebe and then Gopher. Like if
Nice.
someone asks, I have Gopher to offer. Cool. I think we are going to wrap up the session. There are also this part, which is the Humans of Cloud
It's your
Native.
face. Oh, Whitney, you're there too. Oh, you're all there.
I think I'm blushing.
Aw.
It's
You are.
nice.
Oh, what up? What just happened? I know. I clicked on something.
Oh, you went to the Humans of Cloud Native area. Of
But
course, everyone can check it out.
Yeah, so I think it's a good time to finish this read along. We have a lot of things to read, but I think 1 hour is enough to stop it. And I think it's a good time. What? Sorry.
I said enough of boring data.
No, for me it wasn't boring. Also, first of all, to
yeah,
read it, and also with you, I think it was fascinating for me.
That's great.
I will just stop sharing.
It was a lot of fun. I loved it.
Absolutely. What good friends and good people.
So, first of all, I want to say thank you very much for being with us, Anais, Whitney, and Annie. It was, for me, it was, I know, great time to do that together. And thank you for being with us. How was it for you? Just
Terrible.
I'm offended. I'm offended.
I can only make that joke because it was really lovely. If it was anywhere near terrible, I couldn't have made that joke. It would have been too real. No, it's wonderful. This has been great. I really admire everyone on the stream, and I think it's been great to spend time with y'all and hear your thoughts. And I'm looking forward to seeing, will everyone be in Paris? I'll see
Yes.
everyone in
Yes.
Paris.
Yes, we are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wonderful.
nice.
So super psyched to see you there too.
Yeah. So thank you for being with us. You can, everyone, yourself and also everyone else can join our next live stream, and hopefully we will get different report or different article to read together. See you next time. And if you want to join our community, you can do that by going to our website, sign in over there and join our Slack community. We have a lot of things for platform engineering and cloud native projects. So that's it. Thank you for your time and see you in Paris.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
See you there.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.